Welcome you to another Cocobase tutorial, and we'll be creating a function that basically builds a blog application. So by creating a blog application, what will you need? You will need a function that creates a user, because a user will be able to create the post, the comments, and the rest of them. So we'll get a function that creates a user, we'll get a function that creates a blog post, we'll get a function that gets post by ID. So, and mind you, we won't be working with UI on this project. So we'll be writing just the direct JavaScript code that you can implement in any of the framework. Yes, you can implement it on React, Next.js, Vue. So etc, all of them, you can implement what the knowledge you'll be getting here on any of those framework. So diving straight in, we'll start with relationship. So basically, what is relationship? Relationship is a connection between one document and another. So that's the basic term. So imagine on your website, we have a user, and that user is connected to his post. So the relationship between this user and his post is one to many, because the user has many posts. Why? Many posts belongs to just one user. And also a post has many comments. Why? Many comments belongs to just one post. So this term now is like the foundation of everything. If you are creating a website whereby a user will have many like different collections of data, and you want to be able to connect that user to that data, so that's the idea of relationship. And I'll be showing you how to implement it with Cocobase. So meaning we'll be creating a user, and that user will be having a post, and we'll be able to get the user post, get the comment on that post. So it will not be like the tables, it will be like, sorry, the documents are connected, that kind of thing. Yeah, so let's dive in straight up. So when this GitHub repository, this is a Node.js environment, I will drop the link to this GitHub repository on the description on this video. So there will be another branch for the final version of this. You can check that out too. So the main branch will be the starter guide, like the starter kit of the code, while the final one will be the one that contains the, let's say, after we've implemented all the functionality, you can check out the other branch that contains the final code. So we have just our index.js function, and this will be writing all the logic that performs the stuff. So straight up, we have an async function, create user, and this, it takes email, password, age, and number. So what does it do? Just await db.auth.register. Okay, let me explain much better. So on this project, we installed Cocobase with npm install Cocobase, and we create an instance of Cocobase with const db is equals to new Cocobase, whereby we have the API key and the project ID. So one thing I want to do is to head on to Cocobase website. So my turn to head on to Cocobase website. So I'll just come here and search for cocobase.buzz. Then since I'm already authenticated, I'll just go directly to the dashboard. So now on the dashboard, I created this project, which is Blogger. So clicking on it, I will get the API key and the project ID. So I can just copy the API key, then go back in the section of the API key. I will just paste it here, and same with the project ID, I will just paste it here. Okay. So let's check if any user is available on this project. Clicking on the user tab, it's loading. Okay, there's no user yet. So remember, we are building more like a blog application, meaning there will be users on the one to be user, because the user and the one creating the post. So this is the function that creates a user, and this is how you create a user on Cocobase. So say await db.auth. And remember, this our db is our Cocobase instance, const db equals to new Cocobase, where we create an instance of the Cocobase. db.auth.register. So the register takes two major parameters. The first one is the email, while the second one is the password. Then can take any other data you want it to take. Then let's say it takes the email, then comma, password, and those passwords are coming from the arguments. Then it takes the other data like age and, let's see, gender, or let's just place the gender with row. So we got our create user function. So heading to this section, we create a main function, which is an asynchronous function, and this is the function that will just, this will be running everything. Like any function we place here, you can see it gets called. So it's just one main function that handles the initialization of every other one we'll be using. So I'll call our create user function and pass in the email, then the password, let's say 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, then the age will be 17, and let's say the role will be admin. Okay, so let's run this code to create the user. But wait, before that, say after the user is being created, what should we see? Let's see the user. Say return a console.log of our db.auth.get user. Say get user node index.js. So I like to load. Perfect. So you see, request made, and it created the user. We're getting it directly on our console. And if we go back to Cocobase website and refresh, the user tab, you see that the user was created and it's set to admin. It has the ID and everything. So let's just create like 3 more users or 2 more. So I'll call this one nelson@gmail.com. Let's say this one role will be user as in role. Then let's node index.js. Nelson has been created. So let's just work with that two of them. So that's how to create a user on Cocobase. So moving on to the next, we're talking about how to fetch a single user by ID. Let's say you want to get just the profile information of that particular user, everything about the user. So this is how you do it. So come here and say const user is equals to db.auth. We've got the dot list users. So this dot list users, let's say, I think this is an asynchronous function. Yes. So we need to await it. Say await db dot, then we will return the user. Let's return a console.log of the user. And you know what? I'm just going to call the function here below it. Since the list user will give us the list of users in our project. So currently we have just 2. So let's say you want to fetch all the user. We have just 2. So if I come here and I do, let's clear the terminal. Say node index.js. So you see that we are getting the actual data, the one that's index 0, whereby we have the ID. His name is Nelson. Then we've got the data, which is an object. Then created that. Then we've got the second user, which is the user. So that's how to list all the users. So what if we want to list one particular user? Let's say they went to Nelson's profile and you just want to get just Nelson's details, his name, then you want to get the role and everything. So this is how we do it. The list user takes a filter property. You can hover on it to check. See, it takes a filter property where we can filter the and add our own condition. So I'll say under the filter property, I'll say filter, then return a situation whereby the ID is equals to our user ID. So we are telling it to, inside this our user that you are getting, filter, get us a situation whereby the ID, because if you check, each one has his own ID, each one has his own ID. So I will just copy the ID of Nelson. I'll say return where ID is equals to the ID we are expecting from this object. So I can pass it in here, and we are supposed to get just Nelson because this is Nelson's ID. So opening the terminal, then I clear and do. So as you can see, we are getting just Nelson, because if you do just db.list users, so if you do db.auth.list users, to give you all the users available on that project, but we can filter and get just by the ID. You understand? That's how to get user by user ID. So let us try and get, okay, do this one as a classwork. Try and get a user by his email address. So just take this up as a challenge. Try and get the user by his email address. Okay, so it's basically the same thing. We'll come here and say const user is equals to await db.auth dot list users. So then we want to add a filter, then return a situation whereby the user email is equals to our email. So then let's return a console.log of it. Return a console.log of the user. So like I said earlier, if you're writing your code in JavaScript, any JavaScript framework like React, Vue, is the same stuff you'll still be writing. It's the same function and it's the same syntax. So I'll just get the user by email. I'll place this here. Then if you check our project, I think we have this user here and this is his email. I'll just come here and type it out. .com. So it's supposed to get us just this user, because we are adding this filter method to give us a situation whereby the email of this particular user with the email matches with the one we are getting. So we are not supposed to get Nelson again. So let's run the code. Perfect. As you can see, we are getting a situation whereby the email is actually equals to what we entered here. So check it again. That's what we're getting. Okay, so that's it for the filter. The filter using getting just the user by its email or to get the user by its ID. So another one we might want to check about is how to list available users. So this one is just to return all the users. which I've already explained, is still the same thing. Say const all users is equals to db await, because it's an asynchronous function, db dot alt dot list users. So this db dot alt dot list users will return everything. So if I return the console.log of all users, open our terminal, and when we do node index.js, oh sorry, we did not call the function. I'll just call it directly here. Then going back and do our node check, you see that it's actually listing the user, getting the data, the ID, and everything. So that's how to get all the users available on the project. So now we'll dive deep to the post operation. So creating a new blog post with auto reference. So now we'll need to create a post collection on our project. So what we'll be doing since is creating the user, and currently we have 2 users. You can see we list them here. So for us to create the post collection, we'll come here and say const post is equals to db dot create documents. So the create document create a new document in a collection. So we'll be using the create document because this create document will create a new document in our collection. But mind you, we've not created this post. Click the Cocobase website and click on under this collections tab. You see that we have nothing there actually. We have nothing there. We have 0 collection. But db.create document is used to create document inside the collection. And if the collection does not exist, it will automatically create the collection. So since post does not exist, we can come here and create it too. But let's just create it from here. Let's do it directly because if it does not exist, it will automatically create it. So we'll call this collection post, then comma the data. So data will be an object. Here there will be content, and there will be, first of all, there will be title. There will be title, then content, and also it will have what we call author. We say author underscore ID is equals to our author ID. So look at what I did. The title is coming from our, when this function will be called, it will have a title, then also with the content, then the author ID will, okay. This is where the relationship starts. This is where the relationship stuff all starts from. So we want to create a post, and we want this post to belong to an author. And of course, who is the author? An author will be one of those users we created. So since we are creating the post collection, we will want to we want to make sure that every post has reference to one of the user. Okay, let me just call this user ID. See, user underscore ID. Okay, so you understand. So we are saving an auto ID as one of the user ID we'll be getting from this place, so that a post we actually have reference to one of the user. So we use await here, then we can now say return our post, the console.log of our post. Then of course we can call this function. Then I'll come here and call the function. So we need to pass in the title. Let me just copy this and say this is the title, or constantly Cocobase tutorial, then comma, this will be the contents, then comma. Now we need to enter the auto ID. It's actually user ID, but we're saving it as auto ID because we don't want to create a collection. One situation that the user will be able to, the user will be the one to create the post. So auto ID, we need to get the user ID. And if you check what we're doing since, let me just grab one of the user ID here, which is this Israel's user ID. So we'll just come here and paste in the user ID. So it takes the title, the content, and the user ID. Save. Okay. And console.log the post. So let's check our terminal, clear, and do npm, say node index.js. So checking the code, we'll see that after creating the, after creating the post collection, we are console.logging it. And if you check, you see we are getting console.logging, we get the title, we get the content, we get the auto ID. So it's saving auto ID now, which is this one of the user ID, and we get the other information that we don't really need now. So this is how to create a post collection. So if we check our console, if we reload now, we ought to see the post collection that has been created. Perfect. You can see if we click on the post collection, then you see that the document has been created inside of it because we use that db.create document. Perfect. You can see the title, the content, and the auto ID is actually making reference to a user ID. So we can let's create another post. So I'll call this one how to kill a monkey. Then let's say this is how to kill a monkey. Then let's remove this. Then we can also do it that the same user will be the one to create this post. Then let's just, okay, let's create two posts actually. So the first one will be how to make money online in 2025. So this is how to make money online in 2025. So let's reference Nelson. Nelson should be the one to create this post. So we can just get Nelson's ID. Okay, since we can't get it here, read onto the user ID. So this is Nelson's ID. I'll just copy it. Then I'll come here and replace it with this. Okay. So the first post will be created by Nelson because of course that's his user ID. While the second one will be created by Israel because that's his ID. So let's do that. Node index.js is loading. Perfect. So as you can see, we get the both console.log, how to kill a monkey in 2025, and the other one, how to kill a monkey and how to make money online. Sorry about that. Okay. So created about how many posts now? Theory. Let's check. Let's check. Going to our collections. If we check the posts, we see that we've created, I think it's theory now. Yes, we created theory, whereby 2 belongs to Israel and 1 belongs to Nelson. So we can now like comment this out. I don't think we need it again. Okay. So we can get a post by ID. We can get a post by ID. Let's say we want to get the post by just the ID. So before we talk about getting a post by ID, let's talk about getting the whole post. We say const post is equals to db.list documents. Create document is using creating a document, while list document is using listing document. So we'll list the document. Let's use await because why is an asynchronous function. Then we will return the post, or rather console.log of the post. Then opening our terminal, what did we do? Const. Okay, first of all, we are getting a post by ID, but before we do that, we need to get all the posts. So this is how to get all the documents in the collection. So clear, then let's node, sorry, we did not call the function. So let's call the function here. Then node. And if you check, you see that it has given us the theory post because this is what we have 1, 2 theory. So the first one was created by this user, which is how to kill a monkey, where the second one is how to make money online. The third one is Cocobase tutorial, which is perfect. And they are the theory we actually have here. So list document post will list all the documents in that collection. And if you want to get just one of the posts here, then ID. Okay, this is the ID, this is the data of the post in the data object. Why this is the ID? Want to get it? Then we can do the same thing by using the filter. Let's want to get this how to kill a monkey post. We can like copy the ID, can get the ID from here. Then we'll now come here and say db.list document post. Then we'll add comma, say filter, then say return a situation whereby the ID is actually equals to our post ID, and post ID is being will come from the function. Then we can pass in the post ID here. So we can set the limit. The limit should be 1. So going back there, clear, and node index.js. Perfect. You can see we are getting just this post because we filter by the ID, and you can also filter by the title. Sorry, title content. Okay, let's filter by the title. Let's filter by the title. So return the situation whereby the title is equals to, let's just hard code this here and see if we'll get the data. Sorry. So let's try that again. Node index.js. So you see that we're getting the data when we are even getting it by the ID. So with this, you can even do search functionality. That where the person need to enter the post name, then we need to list whereby the title is equals to. That's it. So that's what we do. That's a very important something you're seeing here, which is the filter. So we can comment this out. That's to get post by ID. So another one is to fetch all posts with their author information. So this is how to get all posts with an author information. So first of all, come here and say const post, or let's call it post info is equals to db.list documents post, then comma. Okay, let's just list the document post, then let's return a console.log of that post info. Then call this function. Then let's see our terminal. Say node index.js. Perfect. So as you can see, we are getting the post, but just that we are getting just the author ID. We are not able to get the actual author, like the data of the author. So this is where all the magic happens. If we want to get the data of the author, then we need to use this keyword from Cocobase to say populate underscore ID with our app user. Both should be in the same string. So when you run the code, run the code sharp. So you will see that we are now getting the data, the title, the content, the author ID, and we have another feed that has been attached, which is the author ID populated. So like I explained earlier, it will now collect the author ID, which is the normal author ID we are having here. And the value of this author ID is actually the app user. So it will now create a new feed whereby it will get the details of the app user and return it. So it's returning it as object because the format is being returned. Our terminal cannot read it. So let's convert it to JSON.stringify. So come here, console.log. Let's see JSON.stringify. So stringify this, then let's say null, then 2. So let's console.log it again. Run the code. So this time we'll be able to see the whole data clearly. So you can see we have the title, how to kill a monkey, the content, then the author ID and the data of the author, which refers to the user. So we are getting the user ID again, then the email, the data, we're getting the age and the role. Like basically we just get everything related to that particular author. We decide to call it the person author. He is actually a user, understand? Okay. So let's see. So a sync function, so that's it to get a data that's saved on the database and it's connected to another data. That's the relationship stuff. We use the populate. If you reference the data like we did, we reference our post. We reference our post to an author ID, and that author ID is an app user. So for us to be able to return everything, we need to use this keyword here. We say populate, then the feed. If this is user ID, the here will be user ID to refers to the app user. Understand? So this next one is to get all the posts written by a specific author. So we'll come here and say const post the author is equals to await db dot list documents post. Then of course we need to add a filter. So the question is to get all posts written by a specific author. So say filter, then return a situation whereby the think we might want to search by the author email, right? The author email, yes. I see this one. Or let's search by the ID. So return a situation whereby author underscore ID is equals to author ID save. So let's call this, let's get it by the ID because that's what is being passed in. Then author ID, which is this, and this one is for Nelson, that's the author ID. I also reference the app user. So open a string, then pass that in. So let's call the function and we'll say it should return it. Let's say return the console.log of our post underscore author. So clear this and rerun node index.js. So if you check, we are getting the data. We are listing all the posts whereby an author ID match. Then okay, let's say we've gotten the data and the author ID match. How can we now get the user that created this post? Then we'll come here and say populate the same thing. Populate is equals to an array. So populate the author underscore ID to be equals to string of our app it's supposed to be in one string, user. So to get the data, then we can use the JSON.stringify instead of this directly. Say JSON.stringify and pass this in, say null, then 2. So clear and clear. So if you check, now we are getting the details. We are getting the particular author, which is this one. This is the ID. We filter with the ID. We are getting the details of that particular author. So that's it about the post, how to create a post, get a post by an author, stuff like that. So now we're talking about comment operations. So first of all, create a comment for a post. So I'm sure you can be able to do this on yourself. To create a comment, say const comment is equals to await, the same thing, db dot create document, then say comment, then comma the data. It will take a post ID, then say post underscore ID, comma, then you can start to call it user ID here. The user underscore ID is equals to user ID. You can start to call it user ID here. Then we'll say comment text. So what I'm doing, I'm saving this user ID as user underscore ID. But I'll say post underscore ID is equals to our post ID. You understand? So if you check this, this place here, where we're creating a post, we are saving every post should have an author, and that author will reference user ID. But in this case, now when we're creating comments, we are saying each comment should belong to user, which makes sense. So because it's a user that will be able to create that comment, and we want to link that comment with the user by saying, as we are creating the comments, take a user ID feed, set it to that user that is creating the comments, and also the post should be the post ID. Then we can now come here and do return console.log of our comment. So can now create comments. Then you see this just direct a normal React or HTML CSS or even Vite of it. You can call the button that will just call this function, save it in use states, that kind of stuff. You just call the function. Then you need to just pass in the post ID. So this is the post and this is the ID of the post. Okay, let's get all the posts safe. Before this, let's say let's get all the posts. Okay, this function get all posts. Let me uncomment. Okay, let's just run it directly. See, const post is equals to db dot list document post. Then let's console.log post. Okay, let's add the await. Then run the code. Okay, so yeah, you can see we're getting all the post. So since we've gotten the post, we can now use the data of the post to create a comment. So the comments take the post ID. So let's say we want to create a comment on this post. So we'll take the ID. So say create comments, take the post ID, then comma the user ID. Remember, the user ID is also the author ID. Then we can copy this author ID. Paste the user ID. Then comma the comment text. Let's say we want to comment to this how to kill a monkey. You say something like, whoa, I learned a new skill today. So this is just the comment text. It takes the post ID, which if this is a post, then this ID will be the ID. Then the user ID. So remember, we're saving auto as a particular user. Then we can now console.log it. Okay, see. So you will see perfect. We've created the collection, and this is the user ID, this is the comment text. So that's it. We can as well, let's create just multiple posts. So I'll just create another comment rather for this Nelson's post. I think this for Nelson, yes. So I will say this first one is the post ID. So I'll copy this post ID and replace it with this. Then the next one is the user ID. So the user ID is the auto ID. So I'll copy this and replace it with this. Then the content. So if this is how to make money online, so you can comment the same thing. I learned a new skill. Nice. So I'll just then do npm node index.js. So as you can see, perfect. I've commented on the post. So if we go to the collections, then we'll be able to see it here, which is the comments. And you see we have created two comments. The text, the post ID, and the user ID. So this function gets comments for a specific post. So to implement this one, first of all, say, I remember it takes the post data. Say const comment is equals to await db dot list documents comments. So as it has list the document comments, we'll add filter. We say comma and object of filter. So let's filter by the post ID. You see, return the situation by post underscore ID is actually equals to the post ID we are getting from here. Then let's say console.log the comment. So let's just check this out for now. So we're trying to list all the comments that is related to one post. So come here and oh sorry, I need to call the function. So by calling the function, you can see that it actually gave us a situation whereby the post ID is equal to, and we have two of that the post ID is okay. We didn't pass in any post ID. Actually get a post ID from here, and since the comments are only two, it's supposed to give us this one. So pass in the post ID, and we're not supposed to see both of them again. So by running the code, you see now we are getting one. And what are we basically doing? We are listing all the comments and filter by the one, like we are getting just the comments related to the particular post, whereby the post ID is equals to this. You understand? So since we are getting it, we can actually populate too. Let's say since we are getting the comments related to one post, we can actually do something like populate an array whereby the post, so we can get the actual post, not just the ID reference. Post underscore ID is equals to the post. So by running this code, then you can now use our JSON dot stringify this comma null 2. So if you check, you see that we are getting the comments and we are also getting the post data. How I make money online. Is it about creating a blog application? And remember, I told you if you go through this tutorial, then I can show you can be able to implement what you've learned in a React application, in a React ecosystem, or even HTML and CSS, even Vite or any other JavaScript framework, because they are all the same. It's the same logic, it's the same syntax you are writing. So thanks for watching this video, and catch you on the next one.